Hi, I'm Sadek.
And I I kept watching that One Slave anime from the last time to see if it would redeem itself.
God damn it.
It didn't. It
No,
really
of
didn't. It
course it
got it got
didn't.
way worse. So basically, watch the last episode or whenever we do the anime pickup. We're talking about that one where like he buys a slave, he frees the slave, right? Just to date her. No, he buys a slave and then he wants to date her, right? So here's how down bad and how terrible it gets. All right, I'm spoiling the shit. Skip ahead to the next chapter. There's chapter markers. Bell spoiler bell here. So he, a few episodes later, gets enough power to find the key to her chains and frees her.
Yeah.
And she comes back to him and says, "No, I want to be with you," and tells him to put the shackles back on her.
I, that's, there's a lot to unpack there, and we do not
I'm
have to.
also I'm also a Christian. But anyways, this is Voxel, is a podcast about culture and games. And I speak about people with problematic views on slavery. Let's talk about Drake.
All right, I think we need to like set the stage here a little bit. I don't know, I don't know how many of our listeners. I know some of our listeners are definitely following this, but just to like, we should start the origin of this. The origin of this is, I mean, the origin of this is deeper than we probably know, but like the track that sort of started
Back in
it off.
2013, Kendrick, it's 2014. When did Control drop? So Kendrick dropped the verse called Control, and Drake, yeah, 2013.
Yeah.
And
So it's been
Drake
like a
did
decade
not like
plus
that. So it's basically
for
been since Control dropped that we've known publicly that Drake and Kendrick do not fuck with each other.
so all of this has been simmering for a while, right? Like it's this sort of just like background in the background. Kendrick has not like I think the hard part six, hard part 4 or 3, what was it was called?
Yep. Hard Part 4, the one before Damn, that's the one that called out Drake. The line is, if you tell lies about me, I'll speak some truths on you.
Yes, that line specifically is very relevant now in this particular era of this beef, right? So the first instigating incident is it was the thing is from first person shooter, the track with Drake and J. Cole on it. And the line where J. Cole goes that is it K Dot, is it Aubrey or me? We the big three, like we started a big league, started a league, and that is the line that sort of kicks this off, which I did not expect anything to come out of that line. I thought just like that, like first person shooter as a song, I didn't expect anything to like happen because of it. Like it just felt like, whatever, like it's just another Drake song. Drake just doing his, I don't know, like trying to be Michael Jackson, like whatever the fuck he's doing in that music video, like it's whatever. And Kendrick responds with like that, which I think we talked about this. I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast or we talked about it elsewhere. Uh, that we didn't think that Kendrick's response on like that was serious. Like we didn't think he was being like actually like he was actually pissed off. Like it just felt like kind of like a just like kind of like a fun brag track. Like like a verse that didn't really mean much. But now coming back to that, like where he's just like, you know, I'm like I'm the big, like there's only just me, just you two are not like relevant to this conversation. Uh, and that Prince outlived your favorite line, right? Prince outlived Michael Jackson, right? At which because Drake's made the reference to him being Michael Jackson in first person shooter. Uh, that's I didn't think this whole that whole verse was serious. Like I just really did. So what do you think about this sort of like J Cole was almost involved in this and he backed out. Like, do you think?
Well, we gotta take a step. We gotta still focus on first person shooter and like that. So I think the bigger issue is that in the game of rap, because rap is a competitive sport, hip hop is a competitive sport, as everyone knows. Basically that you have a problem where not many people like Drake. Because I think we have to take a moment to talk about what the culture of it. Because there's like the beef stuff, but so Drake is an artist from Canada who came into the US and then basically is like the number one streaming artist, I think, on all streaming platforms globally. and maybe Taylor Swift, maybe like him and Taylor Swift are like tied neck for neck.
Yeah, I mean Drake is massive, like, and it's not a like Drake and Taylor Swift are like I would say equivalents in that, and it's kind of interesting to see as someone who's been sort of here for Drake's rise. When like I remember when I was in like high school, like when the track like "Hold On, We're Going Home," with Magic Jordan became like the track like everywhere, like everybody was playing that, like or we started from the bottom now here.
Well, you have a different context though, because you are actually from Toronto, that area. You're from the GTA, the Grand Theft Auto, as they call it.
Yeah, I'm from Toronto. Grand Theft Auto, yes. But the thing is, I think Drake's popularity sort of peaked with Views, like the album Views, right? Uh, and I think after Views, I slowly but surely, like, I think Drake like still put out music that people listened to in the sort of abstract concept. Like, there's this obviously he's making a lot of money with a lot of streams and concerts and all that, but like I feel like as a cultural entity, he sort of started falling down, like sort of in people's estimations of who he was as a person, and like not just that, I think accusations of being like a culture vulture, like a cultural person who's like sort of just borrows like trends from different cultures, different countries, different cultures. Like the part where he tried to be British, where he tried to like do like a UK rap style, like where he tried to do like a Caribbean thing, like he's just trying to like.
Well, and I think there's a different aspect of it too that it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't. I think matter much for you in Canada, but I think from the U.S. perspective, for a lot of like American artists, you basically have Drake being what the voice of hip hop is, right? And that gets exported around the world. And I feel like a lot of like US based artists have a problem with that, since that's not necessarily what they want the culture to be, right? Like I think that's why you have Kendrick, who quite obviously has studied hip hop, right? Dr. Dre co-signed Snoop Dogg on all of his records. The ending of fucking "To Pimp a Butterfly" being an interview with Tupac, right? Like all of that just being in his core DNA of his character and the music he puts out, that would put you at natural odds of what Drake is doing, which is basically like I'm gonna go for these trends and do whatever I want. And it's like if I had to talk about Hololive for the nerds here, right? Drake's Callie Mori. Hip hop didn't work for her,
Yeah,
so now she's making anime music.
I think what feels like what an app like analogy here. Drake is putting on a costume, right? Like when he raps, right? And Kendrick sort of alludes to this in the tracks that he released recently with for the disc. Like Drake is not like that is not his real self. Like Drake is not a person who like lived that life, as it were, right? Like he's not like that, right? He's not like us, specifically. Like he didn't grow up like that, and it sort of always felt like Drake was putting on like he was an entertainer, right? First, like he was not speaking from a place of genuine. Okay, now let me rephrase that. So it's like all like rap is like an entertainment genre, but like he's not speaking on it from a place of authentic lived experience, right? Like he's not, it felt fake. Like it felt extremely fake. So, and increasingly as time went on, it got a more and more obvious how fake it was, how sort of, how much Drake doesn't respect the culture, etc. Like it sort of, and obviously I think this shouldn't be like discounted. I think the quality of his music decreased. I think people are willing to forgive a lot of fake shit in music if the music is good, but the music wasn't good. After Views, I think the musical output of Drake just sort of careened off like a pit, like into a pit. It's just like not. I don't think there's a track, any real tracks after. If you're reading this, it's too late. Or Views where I'm just like, this is a good track. It's just Drake hasn't made a good song in a long ass time. And that sort of didn't help, right? Because once your music is bad and you're also like culturally appropriating from these different hip hop subgenres around the world, nobody's gonna have any respect for you, right? Like if that doesn't matter that you're popular. It means that your popularity is built off the backs of like there's a lot of artists that this is an old Drake sort of trope where Drake has these artists in his, I guess you'd call it, in his crew, where he just like uses their beats and their melodies and songs and ghostwriters that he doesn't really give them anything else, right? Like he sort of just uses them as a resource and sort of treats them poorly. I think definitely some artists who could speak to that probably who have chosen not to.
And I mean, it's a broader issue in the music industry. I think there's a lot of and part of it I don't think is like artist driven. I think some of it is also labeled. Well, most of it's probably label driven. It's like the same reason that why was Culture One a classic, 12 tracks, perfect length, right? Culture One by Migos is perfect length. Culture Two, 30 tracks. Culture Three, fucking 35 tracks. It's this entire cycle where in Spotify and streaming, I think is partly to blame also, where you kind of get incentivized to make music not for artistic sake, but music for to get put in playlists, to get put in recommendations, right? So you can end up gaming streams and then end up getting, more money from your music that way, because otherwise you don't get paid shit for streaming. And I think that's basically the wave that Drake has ridden, right? He's ridden being, sure there's good tracks, but also he makes the kind of music that any like editor at Spotify, or Apple Music can put it in the rap playlist. Yeah,
it's a safe pick, right? Like you could put a Drake track. Yeah, you could put a Drake track on a rap playlist or on a magazine cover or whatever. Like you can, it's a safe option. Like Drake is as you say, like like the music that gets played on a department store. When you go to a store and the music if they're playing hip hop, it's going to be Drake because they know it's going to be like the safest option. Right. Like that's just gonna be it. So he became like this sort of bland, like it sort of created this, homogenized, like sort of just stripped hip hop of its sort of a lot of the actual cultural power and make it into this commodity, right? We can talk about that. That's a different topic, but
it's all kind of tied together on why Drake exists as like an industrial complex, right? The industrial complex of Drake is basically because the music labels aren't paying artists to make real art, so artists are going to make music that games the streams, and he just happens to be really good at it. And that is why Kendrick is a culture vulture, because Kendrick has made pop shit before, like tracks off of Damn, but I think we can all kind of argue, or we can all agree on the general consensus that at least with a Kendrick album, like at least with like let's compare, what is it, For All the Dogs and Mr. Morale, right? Mr. Morale is a problematic album, but what's Kendrick saying on Mr. Morale? Hey, I fucked up. I need to hold myself accountable. I cheated on my wife. I had problematic views about trans people. Even if, put the slur stuff aside, right? The point of that song was, I had problematic views on trans people. I need to change that about myself. My cousin called me out on my shit for using slurs. And then you got Drake, which is making songs about how you need a man, and it's called Amen.
Yeah, it just, I think Kendrick, on like a straight up like conceptual level, bar for bar, I think Kendrick has obviously always been the better rapper, just in general, for every and I think this is the old like Jay-Z line, is where he said that if rap is what's sold, like if rap or just rapping is what's sold, that he would be rapping like Common did, right? And I think what he meant was that Drake is just taking the playbook of it doesn't have to make any sense. It doesn't have to be deep. It just has to be catchy and have a hook. And he's a pop artist. This is the key that we are just sort of. Drake is a pop rap artist, right? And that is the niche, not niche, but that is the.
But he thinks he's real hip hop, though.
Yeah, that he does. Yes, he's sort of under illusion that he is. So let's talk about. I think some of the tracks here. I think that we're talking about. I think
yes, we have first person shooter. We went through like that. So now we got. I think we take a detour to J. Cole though. Just get J. Cole out the way. So J. Cole released 7-minute Drill, a terrible song objectively, where he's dissing Kendrick, and then a few days later, he on stage said he had a change of heart and deleted the track off a string, but thankfully the internet never forgets, so there's an archived track of it in the show notes. I think basically the most we can say about J. Cole is I kind of wish he was on this in the beef for one reason. Kendrick dropped the track saying trans rights. J. Cole dropped the transphobic track. Imagine a not like this calling J. Cole a transphobe. Listen. humanity would be a better place if there was a club banger calling out transphobes for being pieces of shit. That's all I'm saying. That you,
Yeah. I think not Drake. J. Cole made the wisest decision of his life. To just get the fuck out of there. Like just straight up. He realized that this was gonna go.
someone,
Like
I feel like
Kendrick was
someone
not.
from Kendrick's camp reached out to him and was like, "Yo, bro, no. Like, this is not.
Yeah, just leave. Just go. Bye.
This ain't like a who can rap better beef. This is like a someone's about to get some charges beef."
Yeah, exactly. It's not casual. Like this is not a casual beef. The I mean, we talked about like that, and sort of Drake responds to that, right, with two tracks. First of all, first track, which is Push-Ups, which honestly, I this is just I'll be honest with the audience here. I'll be real with you. None of the Drake responses to this have been particularly part of the good, and the only interesting one was obviously Family Matters, mostly not because of the song itself really, but because of the video. I thought the video was like kind of like, very, that's the only respectable part of of this whole beef, where Drake actually put in like an effort into something, and it was that video. So let's talk about Push-Ups. Like, is there anything that we need to talk about on Push-Ups that's important? Like how he talks about, like, you ain't in no big three, SZA got you wiped out. I'm like, what does SZA have anything to do with this? Like, why is she here? Why is she getting?
So the issue, this Push-Up sets up a core problem with Drake's attack offense, right? If we got to go esports on this shit. So
Yeah.
Kendrick was always the target. And, Rocky and other people on We Don't Trust You, right, were throwing shots at Drake. Future was too. So even the Weeknd, right, he had a line where he's like, "I'm glad I didn't sign to OVO." And then Drake decided to go after all of them. And that's why you got the track that says, what is a 20v1? And that was like his mistake. It's like, what is, oh no, you took down ASAP Rocky. Okay. Like, what is it? Like, okay, who cares?
ASAP Rocky is not involved. Yeah, like it's just
it's between you to Kendrick, and his fatal flaw is that he kept focusing on everyone. It's like what are you gonna beef with the Weeknd about? Like, what is this? What are these Weeknd bars, you weirdo? Like, no, that's not where you put your energy at in a fight like that.
No, yeah, I think I've heard
Rick Ross
people talk about that.
Fucking Rick Ross was
it just feels unfocused, right? Like Drake is spread his sort of lyrical energy here towards people who are not involved in this, like, really at all, and he just gets distracted by, like, I think the point, I think sort of overarching point here is that Drake can't just go at Kendrick because he doesn't know, he doesn't have the lyrical ability nor the ammunition to really like take Kendrick on head for head, right? And which means that he's like just distracting himself with these like bars about the Weeknd and like ASAP Rocky, like Pharrell, and like, all these people like that are not involved in this at all, right? Why is Pharrell here? Like, Pharrell, y'all leave Pharrell out of this. Like, it was like, like all these like lines, like, like the whole line about, this line where he's like, then we need a verse for the Swifties. Like, what? What is that even like? Like, what is that in reference to?
The problem is it's not developed well. So basically, there are ways you could attack Kendrick, right? Outside of the short jokes. The short jokes are kind of funny, though. I love a short joke. Sure, there's nothing wrong with a short joke. Sorry, there's short kings out there. But like, he could have built a good narrative on how Kendrick's early success with Maroon 5, Imagine Dragons, and Taylor Swift was based off the fact that his record label was forcing him to collaborate with white artists. Like, there is a threat, and he kind of pokes at it, but he doesn't develop it, right? It's like, this is appetizers, and we want the main course.
Yeah. He's just sort of jabs, right? He does these like little jabs. He never like expand, like he doesn't like dig deep into any of these topics, and it's like everybody's getting hit by like casual shots. Like Metro Booming is getting hit by. I mean, Metro Booming is technically involved in this in a way, so we can't really be like, Metro Booming is not involved. But Metro didn't need any shots. Like, it's like, it's all this shit. Like, I listened to Push-Ups, and I was just like, Like, is this really the best that Drake can do?
Let's put it in Overwatch terms, right? Like how
Oh my God, no. What is it?
I don't know. I don't play enough Overwatch. What's the play like? How is this compared to like a he got ganked. He was trying to gank and he didn't get ganked. Like, how's that work?
Okay, if you're really doing this analogy, I think this is Drake is playing a game where he is not focusing targets, right? I mean, one of the core principles of playing Overwatch is when you play as a team, you focus around a singular objective and a singular target, or So, and Drake has not focused he's not focused on Kendrick. He's just spreading his attacks on multiple. Like he's not doing enough DPS to Kendrick here. You know what I'm saying? Like he spread his DPS across multiple targets, which means that at the end of the day, he's strategically from a gameplay perspective, he's sort of gonna lose because he's not
pushing the objective.
Yeah, he's not pushing the objective, So that's a good. I didn't expect to be making an Overwatch analogy, but there we go.
Anyways, Overwatch has Porsches in it. I don't understand. Tailor-made freestyle though was also equally terrible for doing AI Tupac and AI Snoop Dogg.
This one I think is where I was just like, after I saw this and I was just like, really? Like, is this what we're doing? Where we to put this into context, tailor-made freestyle has a verse from an AI, quote unquote AI generated verse from Tupac, and this is like disrespectful on like so many levels, right? Like this is so edgelord behavior, right? Like this is just the kind of shit where you do, like, you're a troll, like you're an edgelord. Like we all know that Kendrick is, Tupac is massively important to Kendrick, as for various reasons, as we alluded to earlier. Kendrick, like the whole verse at the end of the thing at the end of the To Pimp a Butterfly. If anyone hasn't listened to that, go listen to that. It's Tupac is a significant figure. It's sort of like the canon of West Coast hip hop, and to sort of insult Kendrick using Tupac's like a made up Tupac voice is just like, from my perspective, that's an automatic L. Like you forfeited this whole thing just by doing this. Like it is like, it doesn't even matter to me what Drake does after this point, because after this point, I just look at tailor-made freestyle and I'm just like, well, how can I take anything this man says seriously ever again? Like it just that doesn't sit right with me as a person who got introduced to hip hop with Tupac. So it's kind of like sitting wrong with me on that front as well. Like it's just disrespectful to the culture. And this is the thing. Like Kendrick has been talking about how we have all these examples of Drake being, disrespectful to the culture. And this right here is like exhibit A in like a prime example of like why Drake is like, how Drake is being disrespectful. This is like, it's just an own goal, honestly. Like this is just.
And more importantly, beefs are a battle of public opinion, not like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
mm-hmm.
you don't.
Yeah.
You don't win public opinion by shitting on things that people like.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And it's just like people, again, bringing in people who are not involved, right? Tupac is not involved, obviously. Like, nor is Snoop Dogg. Like, why is the Snoop Dogg verse like an AI generated Snoop Dogg? And you're like, it's just this shit. Like just bad. Like this not good. Then we talk about, unless you have anything else to say about tailor-made freestyle, I think we can talk about Euphoria.
No, it's a garbage track. I mean, also Drake ain't right for leaking it out first, an unmixed version, and then once there's a response to it, putting out the actual mixed version. That's whack.
Yeah. That's that track should never have been made. Honestly, that's a bad one. Euphoria, on the other hand, is quite possibly, honestly, like straight up just like a really good like Kendrick track in general. Like it's
I think it's the best track from this entire beef. If we take like a production, writing, like cohesive song perspective, I think it's the best track overall.
Yeah, it's just like like it starts off with that sort of slow Kendrick spoken word style, and then it has like three beat switches, right? And it starts building this like narrative, right? It starts building this like the beat changes also sort of play into that. Like the beat gets more intense, and this Kendrick's rapping gets more and more intense, right? So I think there's like multiple things in this track we're talking about, right? He's talking about how, like he inherits the beef from Pharrell, like we refer to Pharrell, and that he's like, uh, he's Terrence Thornton, I'm Terrence Crawford. Like the whole thing about how the story of Adidon, right? I think is worth bringing up in this instance, is just as I think sort of like the start of the downfall of Drake would have. I think it could start with the story of Adidon, because that I felt like laid the groundwork for other rappers to come in, and like Kendrick just sort of twisting that knife in a little bit. Uh, what do you think about this track? Like, I think it's really good actually.
So I think the thing with this track is, from a lyrical perspective, the amount of foreshadowing in retrospect is wild, because Kendrick wasn't even making PDF downloader allegations, right? Like he wasn't even making. I don't even know why I said we're not on TikTok, we're not on YouTube. I don't know. Actually, I mean, this is going to YouTube. I don't know. I don't know if this is. I don't want the channel to get striked. But this is, see, algorithms. They dictate how you make content. I gotta fucking say PDF file. Gotta be like, call people Acrobat readers nowadays.
Oh my god, no.
The real L of this whole beef has been Adobe. Fuck Adobe though. But so basically though, with this track, it's like there's so much like great writing, great foreshadowing, and you could tell Kendrick's having fun with this shit. Like it's all the weird vocal inflection. He kind of does a not like us, but what is this? Fuck pushing P. I want to see you push a T. Like he does
yeah,
for no
yeah. Like I think I love this. This is sort of my favorite. One of my favorite aspects of Kendrick is where he. I mean, it's not the first time he's done this, but like he does these voices. Right? He's like he sort of switches. He takes on these personalities. Kind of reminds me of Eminem in that way. Like he kind of like takes on these like voices and like sort of like really has these inflections, and like he moves his voice higher and lower, and that sort of inflection on Pusha T was just like so good. Like all of these little
and then you have the bar where he's like, I love y'all to death. In 8 bars, I'll explain that phrase. And then 8 bars later, he's like, if y'all don't do that, I'm YNW Melody. Like, what the fuck? Why is he saying it like that? And it's so good. Euphoria is just so well written, and it's so like he's taunting him at the end of it, saying he took away his N-word pass.
Yeah, he sure did. Oh my god, that was.
It's like
I think the only part of this track that doesn't really make sense or work is the part where he talks about what Drake's record label cut is, right? Like record label contract is, like, because that I think it's not really applicable anymore, right? To either Kendrick or Drake, right? Like
no, it's a 360 deal. I think Drake's in a 360 deal. I think that's what it is. Do you know what a 360 deal is? Or maybe I should explain it for listeners, even if you do. So 360 deals are basically where you take a loan from the record label. They you don't make enough to, I think, pay it back. So you're kind of stuck continuously producing albums until it's paid back. But because of the amount of money they're fronting you, you don't get paid for it. So it's 360 in that you're continuously stuck making records for the rest of your life. Kendrick's obviously not in one because he just started his own record company. He's no longer a top dog. But Drake's been at the same level since day one. So I think Kendrick is kind of saying, hey, I have the freedom to do whatever the fuck I want. I'm not stuck in this, while meanwhile you're stuck in a 360 deal.
And like yeah, just like all these little references, like am I battling Ghost or AI, right? And they're like, it's just like, tell them run to America, they imitate heritage, they can't imitate this violence. All these like small, and the whole thing with the Crody thing,
no, listen, they called you out. Someone here in Toronto from here.
I'll be real with you. I've never heard anyone use that word in my life. I'll be real with you. I've lived in the city since I was 13. I've never heard somebody use that line. So
you ever been to New Ho King?
I don't even. I don't think New Ho King is. Is he? I don't think that's a Toronto restaurant.
It's a Toronto restaurant. Yeah, let me search it up right now.
It might be.
But I even know your city, bro. Yeah, New Ho King, Toronto is. Let me give you the address. It's on 410 Spadina Avenue, Toronto.
Yeah, that's like way outside my usual zone of being in the city. So that's not surprising. yeah, so that whole sentence with a new Hokeng and eating fried rice with dip sauce, uh, just it's just
Oh my god, the Google reviews for this place are fire. I'm so sorry. This is from 10 hours ago. Food here is great, Crody. Fried rice and a dip sauce is the best, Crody.
oh my god, of course people are mute. Well, I guess good for them. I guess. So Euphoria, I think, sort of marks like this. Euphoria feels, I think, the Euphoria and 616 in LA, right? So Euphoria came out first, and then it was six.
I think you have the order messed up. It was Euphoria, then Push Ups, then Taylor Made Freestyle, then 616 in LA. So 616 in LA was only released on Instagram. I think probably because you can't. It's an Al Green sample. You probably couldn't have cleared. And basically, 616 in LA is just telling Drake like, "Hey, I know your next move. You have people in OVO who are leaking shit to me. Are you sure you really want to do this?"
Yeah. Like that whole album art is like a glove, right? And like with the you can sort of make out a receipt on the side of it, sitting on like some sort of sports jersey. Uh, I I think that's a reference to something. I don't know what that's actually a reference to, but it feels like it's a reference to. Uh, yeah, it's just the 616 in LA is just like the end of the nice Kendrick. Like Kendrick's not like he's like, all right, if you really want to do this, like we can actually go into it. To which,
Also, him calling DJ Academics out is very funny.
yeah, DJ Academics. Speaking of culture vultures, uh, you know, Family Matters is I think the last time Drake is actually making any relevant points, right? Like anything that could be considered like a good, like relevant in the sense of that is relevant to the beef. Uh, what do you think? First of all, my question is the whole music video thing. Like, what did you think of the music video?
He got the wrong car for the Good Kid, Mad City van. Yeah, it's a I think it was the Town and Country that Kendrick had on it. It's they look the same, but it's not the right car. And that is, I think, ultimately a microcosm. If I had to take the smallest point of Drake's issue, is that he can't even be fucking bothered to buy the correct car to crash or to smush. Because in the video, basically Drake ends up compressing or like junking a brand new minivan that's supposed to look like the one from the Good Kid, Mad City album cover, but it's the wrong fucking model car. Like that's like just Drake in a nutshell. Now, the video, I mean, they shot it in New Hooking, which is very funny because it's like, did Kendrick know that in Euphoria, or did Drake do that because of Euphoria?
Yeah, that's a point of like, what's the timeline on that, right? Like, I feel like either way is plausible. And then all the whole thing, okay, so this whole thing where uh Drake implies that Kendrick's kids are not his, right? Where he implies that Dave Free, I forget who Dave Free is. Who is Dave Free? Is he like a producer or like a friend of Kendrick's?
Okay, so we had to take a moment back. So basically, there's in the actual track, there's a few allegations. So Drake spends the first half of it going after Rick Ross for being on Ozempic in The Weeknd for being apparently not straight, which is fucked up. And he goes after like a bunch of other people because whatever, because Drake can't focus on one person. But when he talks about Kendrick, his beefs are Kendrick's son is actually his manager, Dave Free's kid, who fucked his baby mama, and that Kendrick beat his wife. Those are the two big allegations on this track.
Yeah, those are two big allegations. Yeah. So, the Dave Free allegation has nothing back. Like, there's nothing there, right? Like, as far as we know, like it's just like a.
I mean, there's nothing also with the whole white being his wife thing, and I think I want to, there's a lot of allegations to be out from here on out, and normally we believing victims is the MO. The issue being, right, is who am I more subject to believe, Drake or Kendrick on like an allegation? And the reason I'm less subject to believe Drake on these actually being true, I think it's pretty obvious we have a bias towards Kendrick here. We're not going to lie about that. Is that Whitney, the person who Drake was claiming he beat, is all over Mr. Morale. If like someone beat you and they're separated, right? They're no longer together. Like that's made clear in Mr. Morale that like she left him for him cheating on him, and he admitted about cheating on him. He admitted rather he cheated on her, and he was pretty honest about all that shit. I don't find that to be credible because like it doesn't make sense, right? Like if because there's some lines you can't cross, and that's one of them. You know, for someone who's because she's a like a famous stylist or something like that. Like she runs like some kind of studio in LA. So it's not like she's not like a private person in terms of like, doesn't have a public job. Like she does do like actual work with celebrities in LA. So like we would be hearing more about that.
Yeah, this just feels like I don't know. This feels like something that Drake sort of heard secondhand and is sort of just putting it out there. Just just more. What's the term for it? Flack. Like like it's just like noise. Really, like it's a thing that he's just putting up. And this whole he's like bringing colorism into this, right? Because I mean, colorism here is a complex topic, right? Because I don't know if you're equipped to deal or talk about this, but like,
I think we're equipped to talk about one thing, and it's that Drake has a Canadian man, I don't care what color you are, has no right to tell someone in the U.S. that you're rapping like you're freeing slaves. There is a historical amount of ignorance in that line.
Yeah, that's a given. Yeah, like he's talking about the colorism stuff is Kendrick is also playing with this, right? Like Kendrick is obviously playing with this. He's implying that Drake wants to be black, right? Like Drake doesn't feel like this is not even a thing that only Kendrick has said, and many critics, many people talking about this have long spent Drake. A lot of Drake's sort of culture vulture aspects are him trying to be black, right? Like he is trying to embody this identity that he feels he doesn't have, right? He really wants to be black, right? And that's sort of Kendrick implying that multiple times. And over here in Family Matters, like he's talking about you, the Black Messiah, wifing up a mixed queen, like who, like the colorism is coming from both sides. But this is what is.
Well, I think Kendrick's arguments towards Drake are a little more rooted in actual reality, because I mean I don't
reality, yeah.
We gotta kind of tread carefully here, but I don't know. You have an actor from the rich part of Toronto who grew up with a white mother, who yes is mixed, but like there's a cultural aspect of it, right? Like race and ethnicity are always tied together in weird ways, right? But I think for like someone from my angle, or my perspective rather, where I grew up in New England, right? I grew up in the States. I can't really claim some of the Central Americanness that, like, if I grew up there, even though that's technically my, my ethnicity, you just don't have that claim because you're not from there, right? I can respect it. I can learn it. I can, go there and like partake in it as a visitor, but I'm not always going to be 100%, from there. And it's not family roots, sure, but not my actual roots, right? It's like the same way if you end up having like kids in Toronto, it's not like your kids could ever really claim like some of the stuff that you had growing up where you grew up.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's sort of it's a matter of life experiences and not just like what do you inherit necessarily. Yeah, this is a complex discussion, and obviously like there's a lot there, and we can spend a lot of time just dissecting sort of why Drake.
But still, Kendrick at least unpacking it in a thoughtful way, I think. Whereas Drake is just like, you rap like you're freeing slaves, which is like, I don't know if that's really the angle. That's a bad bar. Although he does some funny one-liners. When you standing up, your back's against a curb. That's a fun short joke. that's a good one.
Yeah. That's all he's got though. Like he's just got short jokes, and at this point, like, yeah, that's all he got. Like it's not enough, like for anything to like actually have any sticking power or any strength behind it. What he says on some Bobby shit. Who's Bobby? Is he referring to like
Whitney and Bobby Brown? Because Bobby Brown beat Whitney.
Oh right. Oh yeah, the Whitney. Okay, now
or Whitney Houston. Okay. Yeah,
Whitney Houston. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Family Matters. Just like yeah. Like he's implying that if Drake Shooter's doing TikToks and that he's like realest shooter in your gang that's P's brother, y'all ain't getting shit shot. Like he's implying that like Kendrick isn't actually from the hood. Like he isn't about that life. Which like from if you like go zoom out for a bit, Kendrick is an extremely popular and rich artist. He's not from the hood anymore, right? Like he's not, right? Like that's I think like factually that's correct, but from like a narrative perspective, like from like a talking about Kendrick as a whole, like I don't think that's true. Like it's not like
I
actually.
mean, it doesn't work too because he's basically calling out Kendrick saying, he doesn't even put his city on anymore. Where like Top Dog Entertainment runs like annual food and charity drives in Compton. Like there's like whole like food banks and stuff they do run over there. It's like there's proof to it. Like it's factually incorrect. Like that's the thing. So I mean, so from like a content perspective, Family Matters is just really whack. From a beat perspective and rap perspective, like this is the closest we've gotten to if you're reading this, it's too late, Drake, in a while.
Yeah, sure is. Yeah, That's this is the closest Drake has got to actually rapping properly. Uh, yeah, it's just I yeah, it's a long ass track too, and it's like so much of it is just like taking shots at other people as well. Like Pharrell gets like mentioned again, like he's making reference to the Prince and bike thing, which sure whatever. Uh, it's just and the only reason this track was even remotely interesting to me was the music video. And that's it. A Drake music video is the only interesting part we got out of this. So we want to talk about the next track on this. Didn't this come out basically like 45 minutes after
30 came out 30 minutes after it.
30 minutes after Family Matters? So Kendrick already had Meet the Grams recorded and all that before Family Matters came out, like, and he instantly just like hit publish on that. Like it's kind of crazy to have that happen. I don't think we've ever had that sort of response being so fast. And Meet the Grams is
I think the most harrowing diss track I've ever heard in my life. So for what Meet the Grams is basically Aubrey Graham is Drake's name, right? And Kendrick is basically addressing everyone in Drake's family and then addresses Drake. And it's like in the most monotone, like, I'm just going to sit you down and talk to you flow. So he starts by talking to Adonis, Drake's son, and says, "Dear Adonis, I'm sorry that man is your father," which, to be clear, is a wild thing to tell a 7-year-old.
Yeah, that's yeah. And to be fair to Kendrick, he's also saying that you don't listen to this until you're old enough to listen to this, right? Like he's the last.
Yeah, but like
Yes.
the way he's addressing it is like, "Hey, your father ain't shit. Let me teach you how to, let me put you on real game. Here's what it's like to be an actual human and be a black man, even though you're mixed." And then he goes after Drake's mother, and then he calls out Drake's father and says, "I blame you for all his issues. You raised a fucking horrible human." And then here's the part where it gets to the PDF downloader allegations. So basically, the argument in Meet the Grams is OVO is fronting a sex ring in Toronto, and that there are sex offenders on payroll, and that they are knowingly aware of that, and Drake is just completely complicit in it. And this one doesn't actually say PDF downloader. It hints to it, though. It's not a straight call out of it. It hints to it and says, "Hey, if your sisters like Drake, tell your nieces to stay away from him." And I think the reason that these hold way more water than any of the claims Drake made in Family Matters is,
Yeah,
there's been enough noise about this for years, right? Of like Drake DMing, young kids on Instagram.
yeah, it is the Millie Brown girl, right? The whole thing with Millie. So this has been a sort of in the background for years, as you mentioned. So it just does feel more credible.
Also, too, there is an actual sex offender on Baca, whatever his name is, Baca on OVO. Baca Not Nice was credibly arrested. Let me see. There's a Complex article. He was arrested for, what does Complex say? Yeah, he was arrested for forcing a 22-year-old woman into prostitution in 2014. He pleaded guilty to it in a Toronto court, but the charges were dropped against him because the woman refused to testify. So that's you pleaded guilty, but the charges got dropped because she refused to testify. There's a certain level of power and influence on that, but these are not allegations. That's like in the legal record there. So that is true. Like that is true. There are that I would classify that person as a predator. But yeah, like so that is the claims are valid, and it's just the way that Kendrick delivers that. It's not even like there's no funny bars about it. But I think afterwards, the next part though, when he addresses Drake's daughter, like it doesn't matter if it's true or false, I guess, because that like I think everyone's kind of freaking over this track because he pulls out that you're hiding a child line again into that Drake has an 11-year-old daughter, which is fine and all, but like if we take the grand scheme of things, a child no one knows about or running a sex ring in Toronto, I think the former, or rather the latter there, the more important claims to even address. But there's that, and then he calls out Drake's character and just basically ends it by yelling at Drake, saying that he's lied about everything. I think my favorite line of this is like, "I try to empathize with you, but you've never gone through anything tough in your life."
Whew. That's like it's there that this track is so heavy, right? Like this track is just it's written in the form of this letter, right? Which just and it feels so personal and so heavy in a way that's not a track that you can like. When the first time I listened to this, I was like, and honestly, we got to talk about the production on this. It's fucking the Alchemist produced this beat, and it's the most like harrowing shit. Like the beat and in juxtaposition with the lyrics here just feels so weird, so just harrowing. It's just bizarre. Like it's kind of like such a, and like one of the things I sort of get away from this track is Kendrick's talking about how, you know, soliciting women problems therapy's a lovely start, right? Like he's talking about how Drake has all these issues, and he needs therapy, and he keeps lying about all these things, and like the last line of the song is like the mic drop, I think, which is like, "Fuck a rap battle, this a long life battle with yourself," which like that's it's a lot. It's a lot going on. This I feel like could have been the end of the beef, not end of the beef, but end of this particular section of. I felt like this was a definitive track. It was a track that sort of I felt like the last line sort of concluded things in a way that that felt like it was Kendrick just being like, okay, I've said my thing, and it's a problem that you need to deal with yourself. And I felt that was going to be the end of it, but it was not. Like this was like a weekend. Like we were just like sitting here, just like chilling. I'm just like, oh, this new track. There were a few tracks. Three. I mean, one of them is not really a track; it's just an instrumental. But we got to talk about that a bit. Not which one do we want to talk about? BBL. I think I we got BBL Drizzy out of the way. BBL Drizzy. I'm sorry. Every time I mention the name of the song, the melody plays in my head. And it's just it's the catchiest melody, I swear to God. So when he insulted Metro Booming and told him to shut the fuck up and make some drums, Metro Booming responded with a BBL
taking that shit to heart.
Yeah, he said, all right, I'm gonna make some drums, and he made this. I think it's like the vocals are like AI
the vocals
generated.
Are AI, yeah, the vocals are from AI.
Yeah, the vocals are AI generated, but like there's these heavy drums on this, and it's this catchy melody of like best BBL in the world. Thicker than a snicker. Is that one of the lines? Like it's this like just the sample looped over and over again. It's so good. Honestly, it's just the funniest. This BBL Drizzy is the funniest track out of this. And it doesn't even actually have any verses on it. It's truly a masterpiece in that sense, I think.
And there's a challenge for Metro City to give $10,000 and a free beat to anyone who has dropped the best verse on this.
God.
That's just like chef's kiss, the best way to handle that.
Yeah. So now we got to talk about Not Like Us, right?
Which is a banger of the summer. One of the most streamed tracks on Spotify right now. This song actually slaps, and I'm not afraid to say it.
It is. This is the thing. He accused Drake of some very serious things and put it on a mustard beat, and not even just like it with a hook on it and with like a club banger. Like this is the song you could play at the club. and people are singing along to this. So let's get into this. There's so much going on here. The
He's memeing on him. Okay, listen here. Listen. It's really it's clowning on some, and the best thing is too, it's always okay to make fun of abusers in this capacity. You know, like listen once again, the allegations are serious. I'm gonna put that aside for a moment just to say it's never not funny to make fun of shitty people. It's never not funny to make fun of shitty people. And to him, he's just being like, hey Drake, I heard you like I'm young, certified lover boy, certified PDF file. You trying to strike a chord, but it's probably a minor. That is
that is probably my favorite line in and not just the line, but the way he delivers that line, where he says A minor and he like stretches the note, right? Like he like lingers on the note, which is just like from now on, every time I hear the phrase A minor, it's just this song is just gonna come.
Kendrick's is gonna be in your head saying it that way.
Yeah, it's just stuck now. It's just like it's a cultural object now. It's like the way, like it's stuck. And like he implies like this is like an implied threat here too. Like I think that Oakland show gonna be your last stop. Did Cole foul, which is like I think like the second time J. Cole got referenced, or like J. Cole got like a
no on Family Matters. Drake called Cole a bitch. And even better is the album cover. So basically, it's a Citizen app, right? Which, to be clear, fuck the Citizen app. That app is problematic for so many reasons. But it's like all the registered sex offender pins, and it's on Drake's home in Toronto. It's so fucking funny.
It is so funny. Yeah, this one is Kendrick like sort of doing a victory lap, really, and like so many. What was that? What's OVO for? The other vaginal option.
He's just called Drake a bitch in so many different ways.
And there's the references to stuff like fucked on Wayne girl while he was in jail. That we know for sure. Actually, this is like a thing that we actually know because Wayne talked about it, right? Lil Wayne here, specifically, he talked about it in some memoir or like some
in a book he wrote while he was in jail.
Yeah, so he talked about that this is a real event that happened. Which okay. He's talking about better not speak on Serena, and Serena I think is referring to Serena Williams,
because she's from Compton, yeah. Also, Drake makes fun of 40 for having, or Kendrick makes fun of 40 for having MS. He says better straighten their posture. They got famous all up in Compton.
Oh my god,
he's hunched over like he's 80.
Oh Lord, 66666. Pusha T making fun. That line was fucking. Oof, that's.
You even get freaking wrestling references, sweet chin music, and I won't pass the aux.
Yeah, sweet chin music. Yeah. There's wrestling reference. So he's just having fun, right? Like it's just. This is.
He's calling him a 69 god. It's just so it's everything gets even better. And then the best part is though he's memeing for the first half of the song. They get to verse 3. And I don't like reading bars out loud, but I have to for a minute. Once upon a time, all of us was in chains. Homie's still doubling down, calling us slaves. Atlanta was the mecca building railroads and trains. Bear with me for a second, let me put you on game. The settlers using town folk to make them richer. Fast forward to 2024, you have the same agenda. You run to Atlanta when you need to check balance. Calls him, says, you're not a colleague, you're a fucking colonizer. Like, yo.
Yeah. He just says like, this is like, you call Future when you did see the club, right? Lil Baby, help get you like. And he also, I think on a previous track, I think it was on Euphoria where he says, I don't care who you hang out with, Lil Yachty is not gonna make you like cool, right? Like hanging out with Lil Yachty is not gonna make you, be in this culture. Like 21 gave you false street cred, like, like the Thug made you feel like a slime in your head. Like all these lines, like, and it ends with like, it was God's plan to show y'all the liar, which, great line. Like the whole references. And we got the 69 God, the A minor, certified lover boy line. Like these are just like, I feel like we're gonna look back on this like decade of hip hop and be like, these are some like most iconic sort of lines in hip hop we've had for a long time. And like that beat, I swear, this beat is so good. I cannot get enough of the DJ Mustard beat like this. Like it's so good. I just it's perfect. It's a perfect track. It's this is and the thing is Kendrick made a club bang. Kendrick usually like we talked about how Kendrick is not really a lot of his music is not really meant for like parties or like clubs or whatever. But like this is just Kendrick just being like, I'm gonna just have some fun and make a club banger, put a DJ Mustard beat on it, and I'm just gonna meme on this idiot. Like just straight up meme.
It's so good. And the thing is too, it's like Meet the Grams. I think it was Kendrick playing his own game, and then Not Like Us is Kendrick playing his Drake game, because Drake it's like, you okay? You say I don't make record hits, I don't make club hits. All right, fair enough. Here's the club hit. Here's one that people can dance to.
Yeah. And I know that you're not a colleague, you're a fucking colonizer. It's just like that's a line. That's a line people are gonna not forget. And not content with taking L's, I guess. Drake responded to this with quite possibly the worst response to a diss track I've ever heard in my life. First of all,
the first one I can believe that Drake wrote himself.
Yeah, because it's bad. Like it's real bad. Like it's first of all, he called it the Heart Part 6, which is just like, bro, you don't get to call that, like you don't get to use that name because first of all, you're not even close to being able to rap anywhere like Kendrick does, like he did on the Heart. And it's just like he starts on the line, like the whole. Okay, so the thing with this track is, his basic defense against being a Pedialyte drinker, as empty signifier likes to say, is if I was fucking young girls, I'd promise I'd been arrested. I'm way too famous for this shit you just suggested.
We have so much historical evidence of that not being true. What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. What do you like the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing? Like there's so much evidence, so much like historical sort of events that point to like extremely powerful and famous people being able to get away with extremely heinous acts. I know that kind of shit. So Drake just saying that he's too famous to do that is just like, what are you on about? Like it's that's literally one of the problems. It's like you're too famous and you think you can get away with it. Like he's just like, it's not good. Like this, none of this track is Drake doesn't have any proper response. It's just Drake trying to like he's just pulling. He's coming out empty. Like there's nothing here. It would have been better for him to have not put this out. Like it's just not. It's not this.
I think, what did you once tell me? It's free to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's free to shut the fuck up. It's free to shut the fuck up. And Drake knows this because Drake never responded to Pusha T, right? Like Drake never responded to the story of Adidon directly. So he could have after Not Like Us came out, I felt like he could have just shut the fuck up. Like, just stop talk. Like just
Also, too, I just want to be very clear. People have seen It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia know this, but you don't address allegations of being a diddler by making a song saying how you don't diddle. Like that's literally not what you do in those cases for those allegations.
Yeah. And he's bringing the day free stuff back again. Like he's just like, it's nothing here. It's
because no one cares too in the culture. Like no one cares. Because even then, if one of Kendrick kids is like, okay, that's great. That means Kendrick's the kind of man that is okay being a father to a child not its own, just because it helps build family value. I don't like Drake. What you want? What you want? The nuclear family? Well, you only want you want to like. I don't. It's 2024. Families come in different sizes, dude.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it doesn't make Drake like. It doesn't actually really make Kendrick look bad in that context, right? Because Kendrick is here talking about how he's a family man, he's taking care of the kids, right? All that shit, spending time. Like he's like, which I don't forget which track. He's like, my life ain't rap. And I'm not out here trying to like dig up dirt on people.
No, it was on 616 LA. He's like, I'm sorry you put money in the streets and you get nothing back. What can I say? I love a peaceful life.
Yeah. Like man's out here trying to live a family life, and he's just yeah. So this is just it doesn't work, you know. Like, what is this line where he says like this Epstein angle was the shit I expected? Like, what?
That's the funniest part. He's trying to say he planted his information. To be clear, this is for anyone on planet Earth. If you're like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna get someone. I'm gonna plant a fake flag that I'm a PDF file. No, that's the
Yeah, what? Yeah,
no. You don't do that. Like what?
and and you know the worst part about this track is where he implies that the only reason Kendrick is making these raps about him being a Pedialyte drinker is that Kendrick was abused himself, which is a fundamental misunderstanding of one of Kendrick's.
Oh my god, I forgot about that fucking line. Yeah, it's the one where he's like, "Oh, that Mother I Sober track where you talked about being abused as a child," and it's like, first and foremost, you no one like it. I don't even know how to like address how to tell someone that it's wrong and that you're not going to win any battles when you tell someone that hey, you can't, you don't make fun of people for being abused as children. Like it's not like it just does it. You lose the audience at that point. Everyone like
Yep, everyone. Yeah, yeah. Even Drake fans, like when you look at this, like you can't be like this is good, like in any way, as shape or form. Like you can't like be like, hey, like this line where he says that's that one record where you say you got molested. Oh fuck me, I just made the whole connection. This is about to get so depressing. This is trauma from your own confessions, which is just like first thing is he misunderstood what Mother I Say actually is saying. He has basic reading comprehension problems because on that track, it's not Kendrick is not talking about him being abused. He's talking about how his mother always used to ask him if he was being abused, and she wouldn't believe him when he said no, and he has trauma from that. That's what he was talking about on Mother I Say, and that's not even like subtext or metaphor. That's like straight up the text of that song. So Drake is just like you're not even doing basic like media literacy here. Like it's just straight up making shit up, misunderstanding a track, you know. And second of all, like accusing someone of just using the trauma as like as a weapon here, and using the trauma as like the reason they are making accusations against you. It's just so vile on like it's on so many levels. At this point, it's just like even for a rap beef, like this is just like this is like on a level that's just like unconscionable, honestly. So how like this is the end of it. This track is the end of this particular sort of segment of the Drake Kendrick thing. So where do we go from here? Like I know this is like sort of died down a bit, but like is this I feel like we're at an inflection point here, like going forward, like how does Drake come back from this? Like what does Drake do? And I mean, what is Kendrick's move? I think Kendrick has said his part. I don't think Kendrick is going to do anything. He said all he needs to say. So I'm just wondering what Drake is going to do after this point.
I don't think Kendrick's. I mean, Kendrick probably got stuff locked and loaded in case Drake drops something. But at this point, even if you're Drake, you got to understand. I think he recognizes that the public opinion's not towards him, so he's not going to win anything in the court of public opinion. Which is really what a rap battle is, right? Like, this beef is just a court of public opinion, and I'm unsure of if any. I think he finally learned that shutting the fuck up is the right move.
Yep, finally, yeah. Like you should have. So we had another topic in this episode about the Microsoft fuckups, but I don't know if there is enough time for us to talk about that. We
spent a full hour on this beef. So I mean, the short of it really is, we don't have to go too deep into it, but I think me and you we could just quickly summarize it. Microsoft shut down Tango Gameworks, their only Japanese studio. They made Hi-Fi Rush and Evil Within. They shut down a few other studios and a mobile game studio, and then immediately said, we're not succeeding because we don't have enough smaller games.
Yeah, I don't even like, my response to this has just been like, what the fuck is going on at the executive level over at Microsoft? It makes absolutely no sense to anybody. And the famous, like I think sort of the point here, the overarching point is that it doesn't matter if your game is good or it's successful. Hi-Fi Rush, right, was massively successful. And even Microsoft themselves was like, Hi-Fi Rush was, a success. Like it was like a game that came out with no marketing and no sort of like pre-release hype to it. It just sort of dropped out of nowhere, and it just really was quite successful. But here we are, just like killing the studio. We're killing the studio that made Prey. Immersive sim studio. What is it? Arcane. Which Arcane studio got shut? Arcane Austin. Yeah, Arcane Austin.
Arcane Austin. Yep.
Like these arcade studios have made like Dishonored 2, Prey, and most recently, of course, Redfall. This sort of makes it so that it doesn't actually matter if your game was a flop, like Redfall was, or if it was a success, like Hi-Fi Rush. It doesn't matter. There's no like the success metric is not the logic that is being used to people. I think one of the narratives that I want to like touch on here is that people saying that of course the studio that made Redfall got shut down. And to that I'm gonna be like, y'all listen to yourselves. Like, you think that a studio making one bad game that they didn't really want to make and were basically forced to make in a genre that is not their specialty deserves first of all, if a studio makes one bad game, they don't get there's no deserving to get shut down here. Like that's just like, what is that? Does that even mean, right? Like you're just playing a narrative here. Like it's just it's not a good thing that Arcane got shut down because they made Redfall. Like what does that even really mean? So yeah, this is an L. Microsoft is, I don't know what the fuck is Microsoft doing. What is Sony doing? And Xbox president just giving some weird ass statements that don't say anything. Phil Spencer is just like, I'm so sad, I'm a gamer. Whatever the fuck, like he's saying. It does all this. Just there's no logic. Microsoft is saying that they want to focus on like their core franchises, which I'm saying at this point, what are your core franchises then? Halo is floundering, right? So you've got like Forza, you've got Gears of War, you've got these franchises, but it also had these third-party franchises that were doing super well. Like Hi-Fi Rush, there could have been a second game with the same style as Hi-Fi Rush. There could have been more immersive sims, sort of those prestige games. So it's just bizarre. There's not much else to say about it. It's just absolutely asinine behavior from Microsoft at this point. Fuck Microsoft, I guess. Is there anything else that we need to say before we wrap this up?
Yeah. Satya Nadella is probably coming down to Phil Spencer's office and being like, yo, Office is making money. Windows is making money. Why are we burning money on Xbox? We could be burning money on AI instead. And, I say fair enough. I mean, if Xbox is going to keep shutting down studios, might as well move those GPUs to something better. This is I'm kidding. But no, I'm unsure. I'm unsure on what the plan is there. People have been calling for Phil Spencer to stand down. I think it's Microsoft corporate structure. That is probably the bigger issue. They keep acquiring huge companies, and then they are like, well, what do we do with all this IP? And like, oh, we have to optimize. And it's like, why did you acquire them in the first place? The whole games market is fucked right now. There's a bunch of great Aftermath pieces that we put in the show notes, which you can find at voxels.fm that you should absolutely read. But yeah, no, let's wrap this up. This has been this episode where we yelled about rap beef, which is really two grown men slinging poetry at each other. And you know what? I think that's beautiful. But
yeah, this is I've been looking forward to this discussion about this beef. So as always, show notes to voxels.fm. You can find me on the Fediverse at packetcat10forward.social and on our website, sonicsafe.com. And you can send feedback to us. What's the address again? Feedback at
voxels.fm.
All right, that's the email address. Send us emails. What are your thoughts on the Drake versus Kendrick beef? What's your favorite line? What's your favorite beat? And if you're a Drake stan, don't email us, please. I don't want to get any Drake stans in my fucking inbox. I don't think.
And if you're from Toronto, please produce better artists.
Let's leave Toronto out of this. Toronto has enough problems without Drake being here.
What would Doug Ford do?
Oh my All right, this is it. Let's wrap this up. This has been episode 8 of Voxels.
I didn't even get to say
Yeah,
where you can
hold
find
on.
me
Sorry,
online at.
sorry.
But yeah, sure, fuck me. Jesus. Yeah, sure, fuck me. I get it. Okay. You can find me online at lo-fi carrots at mstn.plus for website website where I will be posting about how bad Asus is and now I need to find a new gaming PC to buy. But yeah, until next time, bye.
Goodbye.